All right, well, it's time for Media Watch now. And Belle Lupton is with us in the studio to talk about some of the big issues of the day and the reaction that they have been getting online. It's good to see you, Belle. Thanks for being with us. Now, we're going to start with our top story tonight. This is the French presidential candidate, François Fillon, once the favourite to win and become the next president of France, is in an awful lot of trouble. And today he had to appear before a magistrate and has been placed under formal investigation. What kind of reaction have you been seeing to that so far?
Well, as you said, it's a day earlier than was expected. So he went in front of those judges a day earlier than expected. Other than that, it was expected. People knew that this was coming. Because of this, though, he had less of a media sort of frenzy around his appearance, and it allowed him to get straight back onto the campaign trail, which for him meant going to a gathering of the National Hunting Federation that you can see him speaking at there. This is on his own Twitter page that he's put this photo up. He took to the podium. These are, of course, his core voters, Conservative candidate. These hunting types are his core voters. I quite like this reaction from Thomas Van Pouy, who says, I'll just translate it for you on Twitter, Fillon goes to celebrate being under formal investigation with the hunters. Pretty daring for someone who claims he's prey to a manhunt. That was because obviously François Fillon had said earlier that he felt like he was being chased and he felt like this was a manhunt. So obviously a nice little play on words there. And how about this poll here? Now that he's been officially charged, does François Fillon still stand a chance in the French election? Option number 1, il est toast. I like that one.
We can also translate that one, yeah.
Option number 2, he could still win. And option number 3, don't know, don't care. Obviously, if you want to go and try and find that, go to leadstories.com and you can put your ideas onto that poll. Of course, Fillon has become, over the last 6 weeks, the butt of many a meme and many a joke over the internet. British journalist Mark Sparrow summarises over here with France's very own Mr. Bean. Now, just in case... for some of our international audience who may not be familiar with who Mr. Bean is, well, this is what he looks like if you ever watched Mr. Bean. And I'll just go back there. There is a similarity. They've chosen a very unflattering photo, but yeah, there is possibly a little similarity.
Something about the eyebrows, isn't it?
Well, I think, yeah, the eyebrows and obviously the big eyes in that particular photo and the waving hand really sell it. This is, I like this cartoon. This is a very clever one here. This is David Gouzil, and he's shown Fillon holding a prison top, so one of the kind of garments you'd wear in prison. The text reads, speaking from Fillon here, this outfit here is made to measure. I concocted it with Penelope, his wife. All it needs is the jacket, but that should be ready by the end of April. Ooh. So it's nice. I mean, we're playing on a few things here. Of course, this is playing on last weekend's revelations that he was gifted tens of thousands of euros worth of suits by a mystery benefactor. The first round of the presidential elections is, of course, going to be over by the end of April. So that's why we're mentioning the end of April, by which time Fillon could, for all we know, be dressed in prison garb by that point. That's the suggestion they're saying. Remember, of course, though, that French presidents get immunity from legal prosecution. So there's a bit of extra pressure there for Fillon to win this.
Absolutely. The timing of all this is very interesting indeed. All right, let's leave François Fillon aside for the moment. Now, you're going to tell us a bit about a Polish member of the European Parliament. Who could forget this guy? He was speaking in Parliament, made some absolutely outrageously sexist comments, not to mention also giving a Nazi salute. He's got something of his comeuppance today, hasn't he?
He has. He certainly has. We covered it on France 24's Media Watch. I'm going to let this video play in the background as we go. But this was dipped to you earlier. You'll see him there speaking in the European Parliament. At the beginning of the month, he said that in Brussels, that women must earn less than men because they are weaker, smaller and less intelligent. Obviously, that went viral as we covered it. He's got his comeuppance, though. The president of the European Parliament has given him a severe penalty, there we go, on his website, Antonio Tajani, for an unacceptable insult against women. Now that includes, here is what he's been slapped with. So he'll lose his daily subsistence allowance for 30 days. That's about 9,000 euros. That's intended to cover his expenses. Number 2, he'll also be suspended from all parliamentary work for 10 days. And he'll be banned from representing the Parliament for a year. Now, it may not sound like a huge amount, but actually for European Parliament, that's quite strong. So we've got a few reactions from Twitter here. Diana Pereira just heard about the punishment. Not much, but a big step for the European Parliament, which is very true. Another one here, it's in German, but I'll tell you what, oh no, we've just got the translation underneath. Not just a drop, but still. So he there's a sort of hope here that this could be the start of essentially cracking down on discrimination in the European Parliament.
Incredible that's still happening in 2017, isn't it? But anyway, there you go. That's democracy, isn't it? Now, the timing of all of this was pretty interesting, wasn't it? Because it all went viral. People were sharing this clip all over the place on International Women's Day last week.
Absolutely. This was essentially an interview that was, on International Women's Day, an interview that was conducted with Polish MEP. Who do you think might have done that? Well, the UK's most controversial news presenter. He's not a stranger to being called a sexist himself. That is, of course, Piers Morgan that I'm talking about. Have a listen to how this interview disintegrated. I think we may have lost the sound on that.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is a shame because what he's doing is you're getting a gist from Piers Morgan's movements, but we're getting a lot of shush speaking over. And he says, how is it that you, a tall man, because obviously the Polish MEP says only tall people can be intelligent. How is it that you, a tall man, in that case, can be so stupid, so dim? And he ends it with essentially, you're a very, very stupid man. But in classic Piers Morgan style, the internet judged both ways, saying Piers Morgan argues, yes, some people felt sorry for Mr. Morgan because he was having to interview this Polish MEP. Others were saying, calling the kettle black.
Oh, really? I don't know if it's been that bad as Piers Morgan, but anyway. Yeah, it's come out with some pretty tasty stuff. All right, Belle, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. Belle Lupton there with Media Watch.